The Molotov, the bane of ranked warriors and casuals alike. Ever since the Molotov has gone from being a score streak to a piece of lethal equipment, it has frustrated players, many who have now resorted to playing Battle Royale instead. Although it was nerfed, it does not stop the premise of this lethal equipment. It can heavily aid your game and turn the tides in seconds. In this video, I'm going to be giving you all some in-depth tips and tricks on how to use the Molotov. I will give you some general strategies for using the Molotov, then I will give you tips specific to each game mode in the ranked playlist. If you enjoy or learn something from this video, make sure to subscribe. It's completely free and you can always unsubscribe whenever you want. If you want to support the video, leave a like. But enough of that, let's get right into the Molotov Masterclass. So the first tip to using a Molotov is actually using a Molotov to flush out your enemy. There's going to be times when someone has a position advantage because they're behind cover or they're just in a better spot than you. What you can actually do is you can use a Molotov to flush them out. Now they can either choose to run out of the area or completely adjust their position. So this guy right here, he could probably run back to his spawn or he might just move into the corner. The worst decision he could do is try to stay inside the Molotov and try to get the kill on me. If you're in his position, you should never do that. So for my example, let's say I'm using a QQ9. There's no way I could laser him. I mean, I could, but he might have a sniper or just a better weapon than me. So what I can actually do is I can peek around this rock right here and maybe crouch and move a bit closer because Molotov has bad range, and I can toss the Molotov into that room and flush him out, of course. And if he stays in the Molotov, obviously he's gonna die. So that is tip number 1 of using a Molotov, and that is flushing out an enemy. Tip number 2 for using a Molotov is actually covering choke points. Now if you don't know what choke points are, they're basically areas of the map that players are required to pass through in order to access another part of the map. For example, if someone was spawning on C flag and they wanted to push to B flag, there's a few places they have to go through in order to access B flag. For example, right here, this is a choke point because an enemy is required to go through this driveway right here, and they could go up the driveway, or they could pass through the door, or they could take a longer route and go up these stairs and through this hallway here. But either way, the areas that the enemy is required to pass through to get to another area of the map, that is a choke point. This right here is not a choke point to B because you do not have to pass through here to get to B. You only pass through here if you want to take a longer route or delay your route. You can actually throw a Molotov at these choke points, and that will force your enemy to make one of 3 decisions. Decision number 1, they can run through the Molotov, and in turn they will take damage and their healing will stop for a small period of time. If you're in that situation, you should definitely not do this. Decision number 2, they can take another route to their desired location. For example, let's say a Molotov this driveway choke point here, and they tried to pass through, but they're like, oops, I can't do that. They could pass through this hallway instead to get to B. That is the best method because you're actually delaying their route. For example, if your teammates are capping B, you can toss a Molotov over there and delay your enemy's route, and by that time you will have already capped B. Decision number 3, they can wait till the Molotov ends. So let's say I throw a Molotov here and the enemy is waiting and waiting. This, if you're in that position, yeah, you can do this, but it's really not effective, and especially in respawn modes like Domination and Hardpoint, it's just a waste of time, so you really shouldn't be doing that. For example, I have a teammate, or sorry, I have an enemy that's right here, and he wants to pass through the stairs. What I can do is Molotov the stairs, and that way, if he wants to pass through it, he either has to delay his route or he has to run through and eventually die. And now that he's on fire, his healing is actually stopped, leaving me to go and finish off the kill. So a very good method indeed is to use Molotovs to throw choke points. Recap, they'll have to go around, they'll have to run through it. Either way, it's a win situation for you, and you and your teammates can cap B. Another way to use Molotovs is to actually watch your 6. For example, if I'm gonna hold laundry for just a few seconds while my teammates are capping B, and I want to watch other spots of the map to cover my teammates, what I can actually do, if I know someone may sneak up on me, what I can do is I can throw a Molotov right there, and that will lay down a Molotov so nobody will enter the room, and I can cover my teammates while I know nobody is stupid enough to pass through the Molotov. It's just a bit of cover for a few seconds, and sometimes it does help in the pinch of a second when your teammates are trying to quickly cap B. Now these tips that I just told you all pretty much work on every single game mode, so let's move on to game mode specific tips and tricks. So to start off in TDM, which we're currently in, you can pretty much use all the tips I just explained. There's no specific tip that you can use, or other additional tips that you can use that will help you win this game mode. Now, S&D tips with the Molotov are actually pretty simple. For example, if you are on offense, which I currently am not, and you want to plant the bomb, and you know that the next person is going to pass through this lane right here, you can actually Molotov this choke point and start planting the bomb right here. This way you don't have to watch your right side, and you can have a teammate watch your left side and your front. So this is also a really good tip. Now, of course, another really easy tip on defense is literally to just, yep, that's it. Just toss a Molotov or two if you have shrapnel onto the bomb site and delay your opponent if you know they're gonna plant B. If you want to have shrapnel, just throw it one at a time. There's no need to waste your nades. There's no need to waste your Molotovs like I did. And what this does, it prevents your enemy from pushing B. And let's say your enemy sees that B is covered in Molotov, in flames. They're gonna be like, well, I can't waste any more time. Let me push A. So the best decision here is, if you know an enemy is super close, just toss the Molotov on B and hide, and then your enemy's gonna see this and start rushing A. And after that, you can start tracking your opponent, and it will be super easy because you know they're gonna push A. It's a bit of a mind game, but it works. Now, domination is also pretty simple. What you want to do is, as you are capping a point, you can do several things. Let's say your teammates are gonna cap a point. What you can actually do is you can toss a Molotov on B and have your teammates cap it. Now, the reason this is good is because when your teammates stand in your Molotov, they will actually not die, allowing them to cap it while an opponent is contesting it. The opponent will die and your teammate can just cap B. Now, since you can't stand in your own Molotov, what you can do is you can kind of mantle yourself and hold a few points, so that way any new opponents coming in will not distract your teammates from capping B. You can try to take them out or do some damage and force them back. Another thing you can do is, if you're gonna cap B, you obviously can't throw a Molotov on yourself. So what you want to do is actually take a Molotov and throw it at choke points, kind of like the previous tip. Now, because of that, no enemy is gonna push through this side. They'll have to push through and take damage, or they will have to take a longer route and go through the house or through the side, or they're just gonna have to wait for the Molotov to finish. Try to throw it into a good position, because if you just throw the Molotov here, they can just stand back over here and shoot over the car. So what you want to do is kind of get the Molotov a bit further back. That way they can't really see as much of the point. So you have to be smart with where your Molotovs are being placed, and it's not just about throwing them in the right place, it's also throwing them in a very specific position. You can't just throw them wherever you want in this area. You have to try to put it far back so that your enemy has to be pushed far back and will not be able to see B flag as well. Another really important tip is not just throwing Molotovs at choke points, but also throwing them at power positions. Let's say your team is capping B and so are you. The problem with this is that the choke points are easy positions for you to get hit from, but they aren't exactly power positions. An example of a power position would be something like this house, where they can just peek above and start lasering a bunch of people on B. A really good tip to stop this is by, when you're capping B, let's go over to B, what you can actually do is preemptively throw a Molotov. Even if you don't know if there's someone inside or not, you can throw a Molotov there and they will not move into the room because they will risk taking a lot of damage. Recently, the Molotov duration and damage was nerfed, so a lot of these tips are less effective as to when the Molotov first came out or before it's nerfed. They still do work and they still are effective. Now, annoying enough, my other account is not a high enough level to play Hardpoint private matches, which makes no sense. COD Mobile, why do we have to have a level requirement to play game modes in private matches? But anyways, let's go over the tips for Hardpoint. Basically, you can throw a Molotov on a hardpoint to get enemies off the point and allow your teammates to occupy the point. This way, your teammates will be standing in your Molotov and not take damage while also gaining points on the hardpoint. But if an enemy wants to walk in on the point and try to contest it, they must stand in your Molotov. They will also take damage, and with the added bullets and damage of your teammates' guns, the enemy is pretty much toast. Literally. And again, obviously, if you stand in the point with your teammates and you throw a Molotov, you're obviously gonna die because you take damage from your own Molotovs. But what you want to do is actually take a position outside of the hard point and do what you did in Domination by throwing a Molotov on the point and holding a power position to try pick off some enemies that are bugging your teammate. But yeah, that is it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to subscribe. It's totally free and you can unsubscribe whenever you want. Also, if this video helped you out, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below what you want to see in the next video. and share the video with your friends if you learned something or if you thought the video was cool. If you guys want to be in a video with me and a bunch of other Call of Duty Mobile players, join my Discord server. It's in the link in the description below. I'm planning on doing a hide and seek video next, so that should be really fun. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, this is Delta signing off. Remember to always believe in yourself, and I will see you all in the next one.